all, let me just introduce the person that I'm about to bring on, okay? Before I bring him on video, I'm just going to tell you who he is, okay? He is Randall Sherrell, and he'll probably get on me if I didn't pronounce his last name correctly. He's the president and CEO of the Achievement Institute, TAI for short. It's an organization with its fundamental purpose. It's all about providing both challenging and rewarding exposure and experience via educational opportunities and scholarships to talented male students. Now, I got to be honest with you, okay? Let me bring the brother in here real quick, okay? All right, and I'm gonna give you a proper due. Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
All right, so let me just say this. I gotta be honest with you, okay? We got this from the NAACP when we were kids, right? But you know, there's a focus, and I'm gonna let you explain everything that your organization is about. But there's a focus. Like, I was that troubled kid, right? I was that kid that had all the potential in the world, but just decided not to do the right thing, right? And it wasn't because it was bad parenting. It's just that sometimes kids are hard-headed and they don't listen. But I'm telling you, had there been a mentorship program, you know, like what you run, then just maybe. Oh, and don't get me wrong, I made very good grades. I graduated in the top 13% of my class, right? But I'm just saying, I still jacked it up because it was lack of mentorship. So with that said, and in the spirit of what your organization does, can you tell us a little bit about the Achievement Institute, what your organization is all about, the purpose, and and what are the pillars? I mean, what do you guys do, and how do you help young male students? The floor is yours, my brother.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, AJ. One, the Achievement Institute's primary purpose is to provide educational experiences through exposure that get them excited about their education. And so part of those pillars is education, leadership, health, and wellness. And we want to make the well-rounded young man. And what we do as an organization, as TAI, is we don't necessarily publicize the type of students that we're looking for. So your average range goes from middle school all the way through graduating from college, but there are different levels in that. With that, we're looking for students, if you're in middle school through high school with a 2.5 GPA or greater, you have to submit an application through our online portal. You're then set up with an interview. Our interviews are a little different because we interview the parent as well as the kid in two separate rooms, but our ambassadors that I'll talk about later interview the parents, and we interview the young men. After those interviews, we bring those young men and their family members in because we want to make sure it's not just a mentoring program, but we're creating the village of dependency that family and that young man can depend on. We then ask the mom and the dad or the parents to read their answers to the same questions that the student had. And based on that, we sit around as a group and say, does this family make a good fit into TAI? And based on those decisions is how young men are entered into the program. If you stay in the program long enough and then you graduate from high school, you then become an ambassador. And that ambassador role is young men in their freshman year of college that will remain in the program all the way through graduating from college. And right now I have ambassadors at TSU, Drexel, FAMU, I have University of Alabama and Florida State, and just various universities throughout. And the primary purpose is to not only leverage them, but provide scholarships to those individuals in college that maintain that 3.0 or above and still keep an alliance and a relationship with TAI.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. Finish saying what you're going to say, because you kind of hit me a little bit when you said TSU. You're hitting below the belt, making me feel good, because it's TSU. The HBCU is where I graduated from. But go ahead, my brother. Go ahead.
And so part of that is we kind of create a curriculum. So our director and CEO, also has a business where he works with Title I schools. And so what we try to do is make sure any educational initiative that we have aligns along the initiatives of any state that TAI is in. So in that way, whatever we're mirroring from an experience aligns with the educational initiatives around that. And so what we do is try to take the holistic approach to make sure that the young men that are in the program, or sometimes those young men similar to yourself, that can thrive academically in the classroom, but may feel based on their peers or even parental guidance, sometimes have to dumb themselves down to fit into an environment where technically they can flourish. And we want them to flourish. So we're creating that new leader, that new male influence in the classroom as well as in the community.
Well, first and foremost, it sounds to me like, which a lot of people, if you've ever tried to get, because I have friends in New York, and let me tell you something about New York. New York is super competitive. If you're just trying to get your kid in a daycare, it's super duper competitive. Like, I mean, parents and kids are both separately interviewed to see if the parent and the kid is a good fit for the organization. But let me tell you, I'm not only impressed about your process or with your process, but I'm impressed with the fact that once students are accepted within TAI, within the program, right, you have it set up to where they're actually a part of a village that tracks the progress of the student, basically, like you said, from middle school all the way through college, right?
Correct.
Okay, the thing about that is too, if anyone knows anything about how some of the most successful, since you mentioned some HBCUs, right? You mentioned TSU. If anyone out there knows anything about how and why graduation rates such as like Spelman and Howard, why they're so high, is because they literally have academic advisors that track the progress of students all along the way to make sure that the student stays on track to reach their fullest potential. So it kind of sounds to me like you're basically, and I'm not getting political here with the whole, what do you call that, school to prison pipeline, but it seems like a program like yours would be a great mitigator of potential trouble that can come for students later on down the line if they don't have that right type of mentorship. You know what I mean? And so,
correct.
So for me, I have to applaud you. Now, since you mentioned, say, TSU, and you mentioned, I think, FAMU, what type of organizations or individuals actually support what it is that TAI is doing?
Okay, so I'm going to answer it, but then give you a little historical perspective. So in another organization that I belong to, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, I was responsible for their guide writing Kappa League program. I've been mentoring since 1989. So with that, what I was able to do is build on that program by exposing young men to two types of colleges, one being a PWI, predominantly white, as well as a HBCU, and then giving them an opportunity to talk about those differences. But it was based on schools that the young men wanted to attend. In that, I've built alliances with College Prep U, which is out of Atlanta, Next Steps Education Foundation, which is also out of Atlanta, and then Five Strong Scholarship Foundation, which is another, all of them are nonprofit educational resources that I have access to that will provide resources to help the young men that I deal with, or any young man or female in the community looking for scholarships or opportunities. The difference is when we educate young men on colleges, I look for them to tell me where is it that they want to go, and then let's have that conversation as a family unit, because in many cases you may be the first generation, or you may be a generation of people that have attended college, but how that experience has changed from going on site, visiting the campus, to now a lot of those colleges and universities going to a virtual type of experience. So a lot of the organizations that help support that mission and goal are like the Mabry Law Firm,
Wow.
Bespoke. I have a physician that owns an oral practice,
Wow.
oral facial implants, Graphics Atlanta, the Fully Engaged Consulting Firm, Virtual Properties, All States, Stefan Speaks, and he did it. Those are just a few of what I call our partners and our sponsors. And anyone can become a partner, because what the specialty is in TAI is once you become a partner, whether that's through a donation or allowing us to utilize your business as an opportunity to have a conversation. So for example, the CEO of a component of Hartsfield-Jackson Airport let the young man come in, and he talked about his life going through college and what that looked like from 18 up until now. He's the youngest CEO in Atlanta over one of the world's busiest airports. In doing that, that led other young men that look like you and I see that there are opportunities for me to go in the corporate spectrum, but then they also were able to meet a lawyer that's one of our partners as well, the Mabry Law Firm. They met Ron, who's also on my board, but he gave them an opportunity to see what it's like to be a lawyer. Here's a day in the life of what this looks like for me. I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also a lawyer. I went to school locally. I also was in government. So you start to see mirror images of people that look like you. So the key component in being an ambassador is not only to stay engaged and get through college, whether it's a PWI or HBCU, but what I noticed in mentoring over the years is there was always an experience gap. And what TAI is doing is closing the gap in that experience by allowing these young men that are in college as well as high school to get that experience that they're looking for, to change that narrative that I think society has created by labeling our men at risk. Even with the environment of what's going on now, we are culturally the only one that takes on the title of at risk. And that's why TAI is changing that narrative to where excellence is truly mastered.
I think it's important for us to, write our own narrative. Okay. One of the things that our company did in reaching out to Texas Southern University was TSU had basically gotten some bad write-ups in the Texas Tribune, right? And so we wanted to go in and help them with their technology. But I said, hey, look, it all boils down to whether or not you want to tell your narrative or you want somebody else to tell your narrative. And because they're telling your narrative right now, they're not expressing the hard work that's actually going on the campus. And because they're not actually sharing information that, students would find useful, then, it might actually affect your enrollment as well as, believe it or not, retention and graduation rates. So I'm just simply saying this. When it comes to what you all are doing, I 100% wholly support it. And speaking of support, how would people, say organizations, say if they want to, say, donate, they want to get involved, there are potential students out there that say, well, hey, mom or dad, I like to sign up for the TAI program. Is it all right? How can, people get involved? How can students sign up? And I know it's kind of a multi-level question, but, you're crushing it right now. So I just want to help you get your message out. So how can organizations and people get involved, donate, and how can students sign up for your organization? Now, I know you already answered how students can sign up, but for the people who are just chiming in, I want to make sure that we cover that again. So if you don't mind.
No problem. One, I appreciate you giving me the platform again. Any parent, student, organization, anyone can go to our website, which is the Achievement Institute or inst.org. There are forms for a potential candidate to complete online. There's also a volunteer section if someone wants to volunteer. There are screening and background checks done on everyone that comes through. Whether you're going to be a mentor, there's a background check, and if you're going to be a volunteer, there's a background check, and then there's educational platforms on how you're educated about being a mentor or a volunteer for TAI, and then there's protocol behind that. As a business, you can become a partner or a sponsor. It's real simple. You go to the website again, the Achievement Institute, and there are a partner and sponsorship page. The one thing that we've made it easy to do is you can make a donation, whether it's to a college tour or a scholarship or any endeavor that we're doing, and it's broken down in increments. You can become as simple as donating a one-time offer of $25 that can go to help some of those young men as a college scholarship. It's also levels from a corporate sponsorship that you can go all the way up to $10,000, which helps provide scholarships as well as resources for those young men. And at the end of the year, we kind of have an award ceremony where those young men are awarded scholarships. But your logo as a business partner will be put on our page, and the good thing about that is if you click on any of those business partners' logos, it takes you directly to their page and what they do.
That's fantastic. That is, oh man. I mean, I'm a little choked up over here because maybe there was a program like this when I was coming up and I just didn't know about it. You know what I mean? But we're in the age of technology where we have access to information, and having access, I think, is really key. But providing the access, providing the means for our young people to have access, is an even more important key. And I think that TAI really hits on all of those points. You know what I mean? So the last thing I want to ask you, if anyone wants to say connect with you on social media, or maybe they want to sign up for your program, can you give them an email they can actually email, and also what are your social channel handles? How can they find you on social media?
Through social media, they can look at the Achievement Institute Facebook page. We also have an Instagram page. They can follow my personal page on Facebook. It's only related to TAI, and that's Randall Sherrell on the Facebook page. If they want to email me, those emails, there is a contact form on the bottom of the web page that will come directly to me. There's also a real-time chat option where if they had questions about TAI, I can chat with anyone real-time on the website if that's an inquiry, or they can also call the number on the website as well to get in contact with me directly.
Okay, so now I know the origin of where you are is in Georgia, but do you guys have offices anywhere else other than Georgia?
The primary office is in Georgia. We have a chapter, what I would call a segment of the program in North Carolina, and then also in Florida. Okay,
so they're multi-state, and so I am saying to all the watchers of this show, really check out the TAI's website. Okay, check it out. Follow my brother on all of his social channels and donate. Okay, not only donate, get involved, because I mean, hey, you can't over emphasize how important mentorship is. You know what I mean? You just cannot. You got to look at it like this. It is a roadmap to success by people who have actually done it, who have been there, and in this particular case, that looks like you. So exactly. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there though, All right, so anyway, let me spell his last name for you, okay? Or better yet, why don't you spell your last name and how they can find you one more time on all the social channels?
On Facebook, it's Randall, that's Randall, Sherrell, Sherrell. And then the Achievement Institute on Facebook and Instagram is like it's spelled. You can also, again, fill out any inquiry on the website, which is www.theachievementinst.org. And at the bottom of the page, there's a comment section that you can ask questions or receive my email address through the Achievement Institute.
Well, hey, I really appreciate you, Randall. I really appreciate you checking in with us today and sharing what information you have by TAI. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And so we're going to let you go at this point, okay?
All right, appreciate it. Have a good day, and thank you again.
You too. So, ladies and gentlemen, definitely support TAI, okay? I met this brother, saw this brother online, and I noticed that he was checking out some of my posts, so I started looking into, because you know how it is. When you see someone that's constantly looking at what you're doing, you get interested in them, right? So I started looking into what the brother was doing, and I'm like, you know what? I got to have this guy on my show. I got to have him on my show. So definitely check out all of his social channels. Definitely check out the website, get involved and support it, because mentorship is just that. It's important. It's a roadmap to young men's future, and I think that TAI does a fantastic job of that. So I like to, bring the show to a close. I just kind of want to recap a little bit of what I said, in my opinion, leave you with my final thoughts and analysis here. Okay. Do I think there will be a second stimulus package? Yes. Okay. Do I think they will get away, even though in the Senate, guy with the, what's his name? Senator Ben Cardin. He's a Democrat. He's a member of the Senate Finance Committee. Basically he wants to focus on giving checks to those people who actually lost their jobs. Do I think that will go that way? No, I actually think that we all will get stimulus checks. But I think the timeline for that, based on Mitch McConnell's saying that, hey, look, it's going to take us about a month to assess all of the information, to assess the situation. I purposely think that it is a ploy upon them to see what happens, because the economy is open. As you know, they've made it apparent, the White House as well as the Senate, that we are really in a wait-and-see mode. But they do know, based on the current environment and the 42 million jobless claims, that something is needed, and I think it will get done. So, with that said, I appreciate everyone for checking out the Startup Junkie today. Be sure to follow us on all of your social channels, okay? You can check out the Startup Junkie live show, multi-streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope /Twitter. You can also, there's a link inside of this post. Go down and please subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can get our own URL. Before I get out of here, let me acknowledge, because there are a lot of people. So I want to acknowledge you, Greg Bell Sr. He said, you can forget about the check. Yeah, that's a possibility. All right, I see you. You logged in twice. Okay, Esther Miller, was that Kendallin, Lucy Wilson, Haywood Hill III. I really appreciate all you all for checking in. Until tomorrow, where we return with the Startup Junkie. I don't know what the topic will be, but it will be relevant. So take care.